Hey. Hold up.
Yo, what's up, guys?
Hey.
How's everything going?
What's
We're
up?
talking about sports. We're back here with the NBA pull-up edition, a little Wednesday or Thursday night episode, I guess, for you guys. Whenever you guys are going to be receiving it. Ben and Ron are joining me. How are you guys doing tonight?
Ron, go ahead.
I'm
You
doing
hooked us up
good.
with the intro. You get the honor.
Thank you. Hey man, I'm doing well. We'll keep it short. It's not gonna be like our NFL videos. We're not gonna, run y'all for an hour. Just a quick little pull up, little pull up shot. I pull up. But I'm doing well.
Pull-up.
I'm excited to get into some NBA action. I know Roland and Ben are really excited. We've been doing NFL like crazy, and we've touched on MMA, but we haven't really gotten into the NBA, and that's gonna happen tonight, man. So I'm excited. Let's get into it, man. The first ever we talking about sports NBA pull-up.
Hell yeah. First ever NBA pull-up. That's facts, Ron. Like we had Alan in the comments, or we had several people, but Alan was one of them that said, yo, we got to get an NBA episode. We know that the league is full of the association's full of the drama. We know drama. They stole that from TNT. But interested to talk some NBA, man. I'm a little more intrigued in the shittier teams that are coming up than some of the top dogs. So we're going to mix it up, talk about pretty much up and down of both conferences, no individual games, but get into teams and our thoughts. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited, boy.
Potential changing of the guards, some old names, some familiar names, some new names like Ben is talking about. And yeah, like Ben's talking about also, the NBA is just a gift that keeps on giving. There's always something to talk about. So that was our challenge here. There's a lot to talk about, but we had to dwindle it down to a starting five. So that's what we're about to get into. This is a little rundown here. We got 5 topics that we're going to get into today. Maybe do a couple little subtopics as we get talking on them. But for the most part, this is what we're sticking to. Number 1, let's get into it. It's the three-point god. It's Steph Curry. He broke the record last night in Madison Square Garden. Ben was in our group chat saying that there was no way he was going to break it in Indiana.
No way.
It was scripted that he was going to break it in Madison Square Garden. I'm pretty sure everybody had their tickets already purchased for that MSG game a week or 2 in advance, just the way that it was breaking down. Steph hit kind of a little bit of a slump. He caught a couple of not on me games, like you're not breaking the record on me, not on me. Got a couple of guys' best defensive shots. I know Tybal had his way with him over the weekend. Bridges had a good game on him too. But nonetheless, it was inevitable. Steph Curry, he breaks the record held by Ray Allen. He got it done. He finished the game with 2,977 total three-pointers made for his career. He gets it done in about 500 less games than Ray Allen, and maybe about averaging 3 more attempts per game than Ray. The game has changed a little bit. Ron, I know you're wearing this Lakers jersey, so you watch a lot of the Warriors versus Laker games over the last couple of years. What do you think about Steph and breaking this record?
I think it's irrelevant.
I
think it's irrelevant.
Love the angle, Ron. I love the angle.
Look, y'all know I rep LeBron. I hate Curry, whatever it is. But it's just nowadays, to me, the three-pointer is like, it's like saying let's who's gonna have the most dunks, who's gonna have the most rebounds, who's gonna have the most assists. Everybody's putting up shots now, man. The centers are putting up shots, and I get it. Like, it's about him breaking the record, but I mean, this is a guy who came in and changed the game. I'm sure he's taken way more attempts than maybe anybody that has played as long as he has. Also, so that has something else to do with it. The last couple seasons, he's been the main guy. Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, yeah, they were the dudes, but they weren't like the dude who controlled the whole floor the way that he does. So he can put up his shot a lot more often than Ray can, or than Reggie, or than Reggie can. So if you control the game, you're going to get more attempts. Nowadays, they're doing, the and one after, the 3, you go, you pull up, you get hacked. That's, well, I guess it doesn't count, right, if you go to the free throw line. But, yeah, regardless of it, man, the rules have changed and the game has changed for these 3-point shooters. And I'm not saying that he's not a great shooter. In my opinion, he's the greatest shooter of all time. This guy's the GOAT. I'm giving him his flowers. I'm just saying that it was hyped up more than it should have been, man. And for a guy like this, I mean, it's given. He is.
So you think that it was that it's irrelevant in the sense that it was almost inevitable the way that the game is being played and the way that he plays
and the attempts that he was getting up. You figured the day was going to come.
But if you chuck them, you got to make them, and he makes them. I mean, Ben, what are you thinking about this?
Good point,
all I'm thinking about is James Harden's name up there on this list and how long it's going to take him to pass up Curry. Nah, I'm bullshitting. But like, it was good, man. He broke the record. He broke the record in record time.
Did you watch the game, or did
I didn't? No, I was playing Halo. And
you see. Hey, I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. It's not that important.
Hey, bro, and the thing is, like, I was playing Halo with Leo, bro. You know what I mean? So maybe to Ron's point, Leo did have.
He probably had the game going on.
On the side.
For the people that don't know Leo, why do you say that you were playing with Leo? Because why?
Well, because Leo's my brother and he's Steph Curry's #1 fan.
There you go. Not even Steph Curry's #1 fan was watching the game, man.
It was
pretty. He was watching. I'm sure he was watching.
No, we were playing Halo and Leo, you could hear the phone in the background. He's like, oh, he already hit one. And it was like as soon as the game started. Funny as shit, though, my mom in our family group chat that night, congratulations, Leo. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? And then she sends the article that she was reading from the time on Facebook that Curry broke the record. So even my mom knew he broke the record the night he broke the record. Wild, but inevitable, man. He's never going to get caught on the 3-point list. Like Ron said, the greatest shooter of all time. I've never been the biggest Steph Curry fan either. But he can shoot the 3-point shot. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
So talking about his impact on the game, last night, I was reading an article. Hold on. Last night, 82 3-point shots attempted between the two teams.
That's wild.
We were talking about it.
That's wild.
Off air before we got on. He got drafted. His rookie year was 2009, 2010. That year, teams shot about 18 3-point shots a game, or there was about 18 3-point shots a game attempted. In 2019, 2020, that's the last year I could pull up stats for, 34 attempts. So attempts have more than doubled. About doubled, excuse me, not more than doubled. That's better.
Roland, I didn't get here on my last point, but I will say,
my bad.
But you mentioned it was good. You threw me the alley-oop because you said all those threes were attempted. Oh, but they were playing the Knicks. I was gonna say, not only did Steph Curry change basketball, but Mike D'Antoni, bro. Remember how people were saying how boring it was just to shoot 53s a game. Yes, Curry has been chucking them, but we had a Rockets team who everybody hated watching, and they had the record for the most 3-pointers attempted, and then they were beating their own record, year after year for most attempts by game.
I agree with you there. I think the Rockets, they took it and they just ran with it, right? Like they expanded. But would you say in search or trying to capture kind of what Steph Curry
done? And they missed 27 in a row against Steph Curry.
Exactly.
So and he got the last lap.
They had their chance, exactly. But that was probably the best attempt and the best version of that style of play that we've seen since other than the Warriors and Steph's version. But I don't know. I agree with Ron in a sense that it's inevitable. This record was going to be broken, but I do have to give some credit to Steph. If you shoot them, they got to go through the hoop. I know a lot of people who take a lot of shots and they don't go through the hoop. And Steph Curry owns about every record that's like associated with the 3-point ball. There's like all these graphics going up about 3-point records before Steph broke them. And some of them are funny, like the multiple, 10 3-point shot games. Like Steph has, I don't know, it's ridiculous. He's in a world of his own when it comes to the 3-point shot. But
we gotta distinguish best 3-point shooter to best player, though.
He's the best 3-point shooter of all time. He's the best shooter of all time.
My thing is, if you're going to talk about individual accolades, because this is what we're talking about here, we're not talking about, teams and championships. If you're talking individual accolades, there's so many other things that I would rather have a player accomplish and be like, wow, fucking props to him. He You know, I mean, it's not the same sport, obviously, but like Brady winning 7. I mean, that's GOAT shit. You know what I'm saying? Like Jordan winning 6 and all 6, you know, MVPs. Like that's the kind of individual accolades that I take my hat off to, no matter if I absolutely hate the guy. But if it's a guard who's shooting threes and breaks a 3-point record, it's like, you know, it's like fucking cheering for somebody in the dunk contest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. It's all fucking media hype to me, just like Steph Curry's whole career has been media hype.
Oh, Ron, just like, hey, and you know what?
It's true.
No, but the media hype did give him one thing that a lot of Steph Curry fans will throw on our face, Ron. They'll say the unanimous MVP.
What did you
unanimous MVP?
He can't even win a finals MVP.
What did you think about lifelong Knicks fan Spike Lee after the game, like on his butt, just like taking on his knees, taking pictures of Steph Curry
chasing cloud,
doing his post game interview? It's kind of cringy. And
he might as well have been on his damn knees.
I mean, he pretty much was taking those pictures. It was a little weird.
I didn't see it, but I mean, it's Spike Lee, bro. We know how dramatic he is.
Yeah.
And inside the garden, he feels like he can do whatever the hell he wants, which I'm sure he can.
Orange suit.
Well, let's see what this comes to for Steph. I mean, he's still fairly young. He's 34, I think 33, 34 years old, something like that. And he shoots the 3, the style of play, like Ben was talking about off air. He could play for a little while. He's talking about getting over 4K. I'm pretty sure he's going to get there, like barring injury. So I don't know if anybody will break this record. I know there's guys like Trae Young out there who emulate Steph Curry, but this longevity also. You got to hit that over.
Somebody put on the We Talking About Sports Facebook page, like, the way that the kids are growing up now, like through the AAU ball even, and then junior high, and then high school or college, whatever, travel ball, dude, it's all just run and gun now. It's all run and gun. So somebody will eventually probably get it.
And like, to simplify Ron's point earlier of Ray Allen was a shooting guard, and, you know, Reggie Miller was a shooting guard, Kyle Korver shooting guard, Vince Carter shooting guard, all of the guys except James Harden, who started playing some point guard, but it's like the quarterback in the NFL. If you touch the ball every play, the point guard, Steph, he brings the ball up every play. And if he's shooting from the logo, then you know, he's going to be able to put up more attempts, but they still got to go in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Go in.
It's like Tom Brady career pass attempts. Like, what the fuck, man?
Pass attempts? Oh, Ron. I like it. Not even completions, just attempts.
Any last thoughts, guys, on this before we move on?
Congrats, Leo.
Yeah.
Congrats, Leo.
Congrats to Leo.
And Diego and Marky.
Yeah,
Marky.
I'm giving you your flowers.
And we don't hear from Marky unless he's trying to fucking shit on some
Congrats to Marky on this record.
Whose favorite player is Kevin Durant, supposedly.
Steph Curry, record breaker, game changer. But let's
all right, that's it. Yeah, let's go. Let's go back to.
All right, let's move on to another point guard. You want to go back to the starting 5?
Yeah, let's just go back to the starting 5 so we can kind of run everybody through what we're going to talk about. So we talked about Curry. Next, we're going to talk about Uncle Drew being back. After that, we'll get into the Wild Wild West because things are getting crazy in the West. And I love Roland. He came up with this one, the new beast in the East, man. There's some teams that are coming up in the East that everybody was sleeping on, and they're here to challenge Giannis. And finally, the thing that nobody wants to talk about, it's like the center of the team that nobody cares about at the 5 position, the COVID scare. So we're going to get to that. And the starting 5 is – I love this start. What do y'all think of the starting 5 for the first
I almost thought it said point guard, not 3-point guard. I was like, damn, Roland, you're dissing CP3 like that?
The 3-point guard right there.
The 1.3 guard, baby.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the Uncle Drew. He might be back, Roland.
Let's get into an Eastern Conference point guard, Kyrie Irving. There's rumblings potentially of him maybe coming back. I don't know necessarily to the Nets, but there's a video of him lacing up his new shoes, the shoes that he supposedly hated earlier in the year when they first came out.
They must not be selling good.
The front office seems to be a little bit more positive, maybe in a return for Kyrie. So my questions for you guys are, do you think this is legitimate news, or do you think it's just a noise from Kyrie, a guy that we've known to be just out there kind of? And secondly, do the Nets need him back? They seem to be faring well without him. I know they just got hit with the COVID bug. We'll get into that when we talk about the rest of the starting five. But they are 19-8, first in the East as of yesterday when I pulled up these records. Do you guys believe this news, Ben? Are you buying into it?
Like I said, I guess sneaker sales weren't going well, and he had to. Nike said, "Hey, you ain't even on the court. At least shoot a commercial for us. At least shoot a little video for us, kid, because you shitted on the shoes when they came out. You ain't on the court wearing the shoes. I mean, you got to contribute for all these millions we're giving you." I don't see it, Roland. I don't see it. I think that he's too in like the blinders are on. His head is. I got to take the stand. I'm doing the right thing. They got to change it for me to come back. I'm not going to change me. There was rumblings of him and KD, having to talk. But honestly, the Nets are sitting pretty good right now. Like you said, they're on top of the East. Yes, right now they're a little shorthanded. But shit, KD will just drop 51 and get you the dub. Sad that he's got to drop 51 to beat the Pistons, but it's just him out there with the G League roster, and now they've got Blake Griffin back in the rotation. But Kyrie, bro, if he comes back, it's because he's getting traded, in my opinion.
You think so? He's not coming back to the Nets. That's your thing.
Right now, my take is still he's not coming back to the Nets. I don't think. Okay. I think that he maybe next year. This year, I don't think that he comes back to the Nets. I just don't see him. He has to get the vaccine for him to come back.
He has to get the vaccine to play in Brooklyn, or else he won't be eligible to play in any home games.
And they said we're not doing that half and half shit. Do you see Brooklyn changing their stance?
No, I don't think they're going to change their stance because, like we just said, they're 19-8, and they're first in the East. I think they're making do without him. They're finding other ways to get it done. I mean, James Harden, Patty Mills is there, but James Harden. There was a lot of talk about him. Being one of the victims of the new rule changes with the foul calls and stuff, but he's slowly adjusted. He's back to his old ways in terms of being a facilitator.
Key word right there. We're not getting James Harden, 30-point James Harden.
He's a facilitator. He's playing the point guard position for them. He's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, when you got KD, you got to facilitate to that moment.
My thing is, if you can get Kyrie back, like if he's gonna say, hey. I mean, I don't know if he's just prideful at this point and doesn't want to get it, or if he truly still, believes what he believes. But if let's say he gets a vaccine and he wants to come back to the team, I would take him in a heartbeat if I were the Nets. That's Kyrie Irving.
Especially for the money they paid him.
Yeah, that's Kyrie Irving. You got to take him. And Ronnie, bring up a good point. He's losing a lot of money not playing right now for the Nets, I'm sure, because he's not lacing him up. They're not paying him. I doubt it for not playing. I mean, no show up, no play, no pay. So
no call, no show.
I don't think that they're finding him, but they're just not paying him. You know how some players get fined shit ton of money for not showing up? He's just I just don't think that he's getting paid, but he's not with the team at all.
Yeah, he's not punching in, cuz. So, hey, you know what I'm saying? He's putting that time card in, so you can't get paid.
Let's hit on the last bullet point just a little bit deeper, I guess. Do you guys think that the Nets can win a title as currently constructed without Kyrie Irving?
They almost did last year. I think somebody missed a big shot at the end. Wasn't it KD? If KD
KD's foot was on the line.
Yeah, there you go.
Out the Bucks.
Yeah,
that was wild.
Yeah, man. So and they didn't really have. They were, playing their best ball. But my thing is just this, man. I'm gonna let you guys go back to. I'm gonna let you finish Kanye style. But my thing with Kyrie is just he's a problem, man. If he wants to come back and do the vaccination, just like Roland said, I totally agree. Yes, you take him back. If not, like Ben said, get rid of his ass, man. Ever since he left Cleveland, it was a shit show, in Boston. Now he comes to Brooklyn, and this guy just can't put it together. He's like fucking booming, man. He's like Antonio Brown, with his fake COVID card. It's like, these guys are adults, they're professionals. You get paid to do a job, and
a lot of money,
a ridiculous amount of money, man. And I get it. You have the Aaron Rodgers situation too in the NFL. Yes, everybody's, personal opinion comes first. It's your body and all that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But he's just a problem. He's a problem. If I were Brooklyn, I would be putting him in the rearview mirror already, looking forward to the next step, because I don't want this guy on my team who's not even. I don't want somebody on my payroll who's not even showing up to work, man. That's my opinion on Kyrie. Now y'all could be.
That's fair.
Ron on his everybody has right shit. Hey, no, but
everybody clocks in. Everybody clocks in and out at the end of the
Hey,
day.
the Nets did finally say that they're listening to offers. I don't think that, Kyrie was on the table at the start of the season, even with the current situation.
Yeah.
But about a week or two ago, they did say that, they're listening to offers. I don't know whether that was, to spark a fire under Kyrie's ass because he was just chilling, or if they're really listening to offers. But the trade that makes the most sense is sending him to Philly, bro. Daryl Morey is not going to say no to a Kyrie Irving for Ben Simmons straight up trade. That's the move. It's just how that affects the team, how KD feels about that. We know the whole reason for him leaving Golden State was to team up with this fool in Brooklyn. Maybe now that he has Harden, he's willing to, lose Kyrie and bring a little defense over, because that's what the Nets could use a little more of. They have enough scoring. They could use Ben Simmons to lock up the other team's best defender.
And size. And some size.
Yeah, and maybe even help Harden facilitate at times when he's not on the court. But, yeah, man, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm looking to get rid of him. But you got to check with KD first.
KD liked the photo. KD liked the photo that he posted, or the little video.
I'm sure he did. I mean, they're boys, like we said. That's the reason he came here.
And
if you're the Nets, it's something you got to get KD's sign off on too, bro.
Yeah, I mean, KD's gonna try and convince them until the very end, I think, and until Kyrie just finally says, "Hey, I'm not doing it." Yeah, that's what it's gonna come down to, the vaccination, or maybe the NBA. I don't know, because what's going on right now, we'll get into. It's one of the last topics on the starting five, but things aren't looking good.
I'll just say that without Kyrie, I don't think the Nets win the title.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll be on the other side of Ron on this one, and as much as I like Harden and I want him to win one, I don't see it, bro. They don't have a full team. No.
I mean, if they can add a piece in free agency, maybe. I mean, they're 19. I mean, I was going to say this too. Kyrie's sitting at home or whatever the fuck he's sitting at in this teepee, fucking doing his stage shit. And he's looking at the screen and he's saying, "Hey, my boys are over there."
He's got a screen in that teepee.
First place in the East. In the East at 19-8. So I mean, shit, man.
Yeah.
If you're Kyrie right now, what are you thinking right now?
He's lost leverage, right, Ron?
I agree with Ben, though. I think they need Kyrie to win the title. And that's the extra boost that they need. It's Kyrie Irving, and maybe he ends up getting vax to do it. And you know what? If he does it, I don't think anybody should give him crap for it, because he's doing it, and he's going to show up for his team, and he's going to.
It would be the right thing. I mean, everybody's telling him he's an idiot for not doing it. So if he does get it, why are we going to talk shit?
Well, it's just people are like, "Oh,
I know, but that's Twitter. That's Twitter, Roland."
Yeah, but hopefully he comes back, because I do like Kyrie as a player. I think he's a good guy, or a good player, on the court. So we'll see what happens, because this is a big three that we all need to see, I think. Right?
Man, I hate Kyrie.
Yeah. James Harden, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. I mean, I would like to see these guys at their full strength, but we haven't gotten that so far. Moving on.
Shit.
All right,
to number 3.
Getting into the meat and potatoes of why we're here is to talk about what's going on in the NBA in terms of who's winning games and who's losing. We're gonna go by the conferences. We're gonna start out here, and the Wild Wild West. The West has always been one of the tougher conferences. There's a bit of changing of the guard this year's. A couple of new teams, or the Suns were there last year, and so were the Jazz, but. You see the Grizzlies and the Warriors occupying the 1 and 4 seeds still, about maybe close to 30 games through the season, getting close there. And then the Lakers are kind of recovering. And you see the Nuggets maybe flailing a little bit, 5-5 in their last 10. They're at the 8th seed. Ben, I'll kick it to you. You're the big Rockets fan, and then I'll give it to Ron. He's wearing his Lakers jersey. Ben,
and then we got to throw it to you, dog.
Yeah, I know. I'll give my take. I mean, we're down here at the 10 and 16. We're talking about the lottery here. Oh, I'll get into that when I get my piece. But Ben, you go first here, man. What sticks out to you when looking at the West, man?
Before I get to the Rockets, and I appreciate you leaving the Rockets on the bottom of the screen, Roland. Even though CP3's head's covering a little bit of it, I appreciate us being on the screen.
Hey,
Ron, I appreciate it. I know, but they're above. Anyways, I appreciate it. What sticks out to me is that the top 3, I don't see it changing. I think that maybe the order will change a bit, but those are the top 3 teams in the West. When the season comes down, I mean, that's going to be wire to wire. Those will be the top 3 teams. We see the Grizzlies hanging around at 4 right now, playing without John Morant, but they're playing well. The Clippers at 6 without Paul George. He's been out like the last week. We know Kawhi is still recovering from that ACL surgery, so he won't join them until late in the season, if at all. And the list, I mean, I think the disappointment is the Mavericks. I think we've all expected, a lot more from Luka. Not necessarily me. I've been a big hater of him. But Luka, the Mavs just not making that jump. The Porzingis and Luka, it clearly doesn't work.
A lot of drama.
A lot of drama. I mean, we saw Rick Carlisle leave, not even get fired, just step down and got hired 5 days later. One of the best coaches, one of the most winningest coaches, brought Dallas a title, and he just said, enough with this bullshit, man. And I read an article today about it as well.
Yeah, I think I read that same article. It came out on ESPN.
It was on ESPN. Very telling. I mean, to me, it seemed like Carlisle was a gritty, not necessarily. Maybe he did say some things that were a little mean, maybe crossed the line. But I wanted to compare him to Pop, as in the old school kind of no bullshit. Every night we're going to show up and we're going to play mentality. But it seemed like in the article a couple of times, he told guys to get out of his face. You only have 2 points. Get out of my face.
I thought what he did to Dennis Smith Jr. was foul.
I mean, he didn't want Dennis Smith Jr. from the jump. Draft night, he said, "No, I want Donovan Mitchell." He should have left off of that shit right there.
But that's a career changer for him.
The way he treated him was foul. It's not Dennis Smith Jr.'s fault that he got drafted. I mean, Carlisle may not have wanted him there, but it's not his fault. I mean,
it's some tough love, cuz.
Yeah,
tough
he
love. Can't shoot.
Shit,
no, it's his fault he can't shoot.
I'm talking about him telling Dennis Smith Jr. in the article. It says that Carlisle accused him in front of the team and stuff of being jealous of Luka Doncic, who at the time was his best friend. They were only 1 year apart, and they were best friends, lived in the same apartment, but as the story was going, and this and that. And so I thought the way that he tried to pit them against each other was foul, and that's kind of what started the sourness between Luka and Rick Carlisle. And I'm glad you brought up the Mavericks, because we didn't have it on the starting 5, that story that dropped today on ESPN, but I think a lot of disappointment at 14 and 13.
And Roland, and then articles have come out earlier in the year about Luka coming in back-to-back years weighing 260 pounds, to camp to start the season. He looks out of shape when we see him play. Listen, the guy's a baller. He's the best player on that team. He makes that team go, but they solely rely on him. It's literally the white James Harden in Houston, bro. That's what it is.
He's broken down in the playoffs,
he's had good series, but it's like in the fourth quarter he runs out of gas. Same problem we saw with James Harden.
First through third quarter, I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah, so I think
triple doubles in the first half.
Just to end my point on the West, I think, like I said, the top 3, the order might change a bit, but those are the top 3 regular season teams in the West. I think that's the way it'll finish. But yeah, the Mavs, man, very disappointing. I think a lot of people expected Luka to be getting MVP votes by now, with the style of play and the expectations that they had for him, and where they're sitting. All the drama that they have, not making noise in free agency. I think that Mark Cuban has dropped the ball in Dallas.
I wonder what the value of those Luka cards are going for now.
They're dropping pounds.
They were going like crazy last year. They're going like crazy. Sure. Anyways, Ron, you're wearing your Lakers jersey. We got LeBron here on the screen. A little bit of a disappointed look, although they are 6-4 in the last 10. Things are looking a little up, I would say, for them at the 6th seed. What are you thinking? Is Russell Westbrook sticking around past the trade deadline?
Good question.
Do you have faith in the Lakers?
It's just like when y'all asked me about Kansas City Chiefs.
You were right. You were right about
I said pause, chill,
relax.
Take it easy. Aaron Rodgers, RELAX. And we know where the Chiefs are, and you know what they've been doing. And I've been telling everybody who's coming at me on the Lakers, man. Bro, we're how many games into the season? 28? I mean, everybody knows it turns up after the All-Star break.
It's almost halfway.
It is almost halfway. But It's all right. We're still in the 6th seed. Everything's fine. I think not just the Lakers, but a lot of other teams do that as well. You maybe stay in the middle of the pack, and then after the All-Star break, everybody turns it up. I think that Russell stays. I think they're still working to put pieces together. Free agency's, still around. We could, maybe add an OG the way that LeBron always likes to do.
Buyout
Something like that. I mean, playoff Rondo's back. So I'm honestly not worried, man. Braun and AD, and Melo and those guys together really haven't played a lot of games, together. Somebody's been hurt, somebody's been out, somebody's been resting. I'm not worried, and I'm not really worried about the Warriors either. I mean, yes, they're at number 1. Yes, they have the point guard, but like we were talking about with Marky earlier,
Klay Thompson coming by.
Klay Thompson, yeah, but
we gotta see it. We gotta see it.
He hasn't played in years, and everybody's like, "Oh, Curry's doing so much with so little." And I said, "Yeah, but how deep are they? When these young guys get into the playoffs, say by whatever miracle, like I think they do get to the finals. What did we see last year? We saw, CP3 and the young cats." Against the veteran team, who's been playing together a little longer. And what happened? They came out strong. And then in the end, the team that was together the longest, pulled through. And I think that's what's going to happen with the Warriors. They're still a young team. They haven't played together. They're playing great now, but this is an extension of the preseason, to me still, as I really don't think teams turn it up until the All-Star break, man.
They're working the come bucket into the game.
I mean, okay, talking about the West, Memphis Grizzlies, John Morant, he's hurt, but he's not in a crazy rush to get back. Clippers, Paul George. I mean, everybody's kind of just chilling
Everybody
right
has
now.
Somebody injured and kind of that. And the one thing I will say about I think the Warriors' ceiling is the Western Conference Finals. I think that they can get
max.
There. I do. Me personally, I still like the Suns coming out of the West this year, but the Warriors have the most camaraderie within their team. The top 3 teams in the West have the most camaraderie. The Jazz have been playing together for a while. The Warriors, the Warriors, although they've sucked the last 2 years, those players have all been playing. Toscano Anderson, that fool's actually serviceable.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. He got a lot of play time last year. He was
but they don't. But a lot of the guys on that squad do not have the playoff experience.
None. Jordan, and I was going to get there. Okay. The guys, they're playing together. They're cohesive. They know where they're going to be on the court, and all that shit in the regular season is good. In the playoffs is good too. But the lack of experience, like Ron says, Jordan Poole's never been in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The dude I was just talking about. Never been in the playoffs. Curry, Looney, Green, and Clay have. And then
Wiseman, they're supposed to get Wiseman back, right? Or Wiseman? Or what's it?
Wiesel. Yeah. What have we seen from Wiseman? We haven't seen much. So I think that they're good. I think that they're good. I think they're a top 3 team in the West. I do think that the Western Conference Finals is their ceiling. Not even on some hater shit. I just do think that the lack of experience will get to them there.
I think barring injury, well, let me just say the one thing that sticks out to me though is the Suns sticking right around at 2. I thought they were kind of going to fade a little bit.
They lost PJ Tucker.
Their total for the season was like around 50, 51 and a half. I didn't think they were going to get there, but they're on pace. They're looking good through the first quarter of the season. 21-5. They're same squad pretty much as last year. Aiden looks good. Chris Paul's still doing it. They're, to me, the most well put together team still. Just the way that they've been playing, they're the deepest team. I like them also against the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, but I do think they are the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. I do think it's the Warriors and the Suns, and I do think that Klay Thompson will be a big boost for the Warriors. I think he's going to come back. I mean, all he has to do is stroke the 3. They're not going to ask him to do much more, I don't think, and as long as his conditioning is okay, which I think is why they're, easing him back. They don't want to throw him in there too early. I think the Klay Thompson additional will be good for them. But my thing is here with the Lakers, I think also if healthy, they can contend because I still do think that LeBron James.
Fuck yeah, boy.
Now, I'm not going to say he's a top I don't know where he stands, honestly, but he's like a top 10 player.
He's right top now. 5 still, bro.
top five.
He just dropped a triple double.
Yeah,
He's
top
still
five.
top five.
He's top five player in the NBA. Anthony Davis. I mean, the jury's out on him right now. Honestly,
the guys who were threatening, the guys who were threatening that top five, Dame Lillard, Luka, AD, like those guys have taken a little step back. It's
LeBron is still there. Yeah,
he is. It's LeBron, it's KD, it's Giannis, it's Curry, and the fifth.
So,
we can leave it up for
and I think the Lakers, of any of the teams, honestly, that are not the Warriors, the Suns, or the Jazz, I think they're the only ones that can really muster up anything to take a shot at those teams at the top right now. The thing that scares me, as much as I like the guy, I've been a fan of his for a while, is Russell Westbrook, late game situations. I'm sure LeBron James is going to be like, give me the ball, don't even
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, like we're not even playing that game over here. But no, I like the Lakers. If they catch a series, maybe with one of these teams, depending how the seeding works out. But we'll see as the season progresses and injuries go on. Ben, do you see any trades happening?
And I don't want to get like too deep into that, because I do think that the Warriors are a team that's up for that. They have the pieces for a trade, and they do need to make a trade and maybe get a more established player for that playoff run. But we'll get into that another day. The one thing I will say about the Lakers, I agree with you, for the playoffs, they're set up good for the half-court offense. And the playoffs is a lot of half-court offense.
Slow down a little more.
With LeBron running the point, or Westbrook. And like you said, LeBron telling him, chill, slow down. So I agree with you. And we got to see how Jamal Murray comes back. The only other team I could see making noise is maybe the Nuggets, because they do have Jokic, the MVP. We've seen Jamal Murray and the way that he helps that team. So the only other team I could say maybe besides the Lakers is the Nuggets.
All right.
We were saying off cam, the Memphis with no jaw, bro, right now is doing really well too.
They're
they're super contenders, but there's somebody who could spoil one of the favorites' trip to, say, the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, and, in the NBA, they're not colleges, so the teams aren't like recruiting players, but the Grizzlies, they seem to stick by that grit and grind. It seems like the players that they get are always around that moniker, or they fit that moniker, the grit and grind.
Definitely the Wild West.
Dylan Brooks and Bane, shout out to them. Yeah, they play hard, man.
Mm-hmm. And so, Ben, we wanted to talk about our teams. Ron's already talked a little bit about the Lakers. You got the Rockets, as you mentioned. We kept them on the screen here at 9-18. It looks a lot better than the teams at the bottom of the screen on the East, I will say. They're 9-18.
And there's still a couple teams behind us in the West, because you left some teams off.
Something to be proud of, though, for the Rockets. Last 10, 8-2.
Yeah, and they're
good basketball.
And they're covering. Yeah. They're all playing hard. It's a bunch of role players. No, it's because they're fun to watch. I kind of compare them to maybe watching the Hornets last year on League Pass. They were like everybody's League Pass team. I think this year Houston is one of those League Pass teams. They're running. It's a bunch of young guys, RGV Vipers legends, Amani Brooks, several guys that have come from the Vipers. And it's just everybody's just playing hard. Everybody's just they're trying to figure out who's going to be kept and who's not going to be kept pretty much right now. We know that it's a rebuild. They traded Harden away for 7 picks and whatever else they got. So right now it's a rebuild. They made some good pickups. Garrison Matthews, the guy that they picked up off the Wizards, he's been shooting the hell out of the ball. A lot of threes. Amani Brooks from Houston, undrafted to the Vipers, now with the Rockets, getting a lot of playing time. John Wall, I don't think that they're going to find a trade partner for John Wall. It's just a lot of money for a guy that's very limited as far as play on the court. He lost his explosiveness. That thing that we've all been saying, once Westbrook loses it, it's going to be over for him. That should already happen to John Wall. He doesn't have to.
Plus that big injury too. Westbrook.
That's what I'm saying.
Westbrook and Wall are about the same age too.
They are, but the injury. He had an Achilles injury. Westbrook hasn't had an Achilles injury. Those guys were going to the hole. They were explosive players, never the best shooters. John Wall, as much as I want the Clippers, to give maybe Luke Kennard and somebody else and a pick to get John Wall in there with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs, I don't think it's going to happen, man. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
Reggie Jackson or John Wall? I would take Reggie Jackson right now.
Most people would, because he can stretch the floor a lot better than John Wall.
I say Reggie Jackson.
Hey,
and that pains me because I like John Wall.
I'm
about the Dougie.
And I'll just close with this with the Rockets. I mean, I know that we had 3 first-round picks this past year. Jalen Green has been injured, and it's been weird because at the same time that Jalen Green got injured, Daniel Theis got moved out of the starting lineup for Jayshawn Tate, and that's when the team started winning. They went on a 7-game win streak. You know, they had 1 win for the longest time. They've been on a 19-game losing streak this season, and then on a 7-game win streak after. They've been covering ATS, but Alperen Sengun, center, 18 years old. You know, he was our second first-round pick, but a lot of teams like your Spurs rolling passed up on him.
He looked good in the
and he's not the most athletic guy, but he's been playing pro since a young age overseas, and he's got a bag already. Yeah. You know, most rookies don't come into the league with a bag. He's a center, fam. He'll spin 2 or 3 times. The other night he had to call it John Collins jumping like he was on his fucking
pogo stick,
jump soles or pogo stick. Yeah. But very mature game. I like the rookies. They're an exciting team to watch. But, I mean, I say 22 wins tops for the Rockets.
So you want them to get another good draft pick?
Oh, we got another 3 first-round picks coming up this year. We got to stack the team a bit.
So you want some lottery picks. There we go. Yeah. Real quick for me on the Spurs, just want to highlight really just, you know, a couple of things. Much like the Rockets, their streak over the last 10 games isn't as good, but they are 6-4 over the last 10 games. And a lot of that coincides with Derek White's play. Derek White was a player that the Spurs expected a lot out of this year. They pair him with DeJounte Murray in the backcourt. He's his counterpart there. And he got off to a rough start to begin the year. And the Spurs were losing a lot of games. I mean, they're still 10-16, but as of late, Derek White's been playing a lot better. He's averaging over 20 points a game. He's doing his thing. He's our best pick and roll player. And then I also just want to keep on highlighting DeJounte Murray. The last time we talked NBA, I talked about him, and his good play is continuing. He's a triple-double guy now. I mean, he's not up there in terms of like leading the league or anything, but he's already got like 4 or 5 triple-doubles under his bag this year. So shout out to DeJounte Murray. He's really improved his game all around. There's a lot of question marks about him. I was one of them, a question of whether or not he can be a true playmaking point guard. At least numbers-wise, put that to bed a little bit, and he's played a lot better. So I got to give DeJounte his props. Spurs, they're still missing, like, in my opinion, a true bucket getter or like a true closer. They're in a lot of close games. They play sound basketball. Greg Popovich has his team well coached. That's the one thing about the Spurs. Even though they're not good, you look at them, they're 10-16, but they go out there each night and they compete. Yeah, they do have some clunkers because they are bad, but they do compete most nights. They don't have it to get over the hump. Like, they're just missing that thing. You know, they got a bunch of young guys, they got a bunch of good players, but just not enough like true talent to get them over the hump. They got some nice pieces though. Some guys that they might want to keep around. Like I like DeJounte Murray. Keldon Johnson, also another guy, got off to a rough start, has been playing better as of late. The 3-point ball is starting to fall for him. But no, the Spurs, a lot to look forward to for them. They're a young team. Hopefully, though, for me, they end up in the lottery position and they make.
You were right. I think you were right about them, though, Roland, because a lot of people had higher expectations, and they're down there hanging out with the Rockets, and that's not what people expect.
And my whole thing, and I'm not gonna like stand here in a high horse or anything, because they are 10-16, and I'm a Spurs fan, but my whole thing was just that they let a lot of points walk out the door, and they didn't even attempt to replace it. Like, to me, that doesn't say, hey, we're trying to compete. What that tells me is like, hey, we're rebuilding and we're trying to see what we have here because we have a lot of young guys. So the people who were in favor of the young guys getting their shots, they are getting what they wanted.
It's
but
their season.
Yeah, it's their season for sure. They're saying, hey, DeRozan's taking a lot of these guys' shots or development, which is true, and we're getting to see what these guys can do. But that doesn't always equate to wins.
Right.
But that doesn't mean the plays are bad. I mean, Lonnie Walker's had a bad season. He's a guy that a lot of people had high hopes for, hoping he can turn it around. He still has some flashes, but
how much longer do you think Popovich is there?
This season might be his last, I think.
No, Roland.
I don't think he's going to be around for the rebuild.
So
Nah, man.
exactly,
I think
my
he's
point.
invested, bro. I think he's invested.
Nah, I mean,
Exactly
I
my
think right
point.
now what he's
If
trying to do is
Popovich,
just
if Popovich
set
ain't
the
gonna be
foundation
there,
for these guys.
if he ain't gonna be there, this is gonna take a lot longer as a rebuild than people expected. Because with no Pop and all those players, it could be you might not
Well,
see a playoff
because
run till 2032.
A la madre.
The whole thing is there's no incentive really to come to the city of San Antonio. I live in San Antonio. I like San
The
Antonio.
Roadrunners
But
could.
I'm I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a multimillionaire 20 to 28-year-old. Like San Antonio doesn't have a lot for those kind of people.
Right.
What they're into and stuff. So I can't speak for that, but Popovich, to me, I don't think he's going to stick around. I think we're right now, again, what he's trying to do is just lay the foundation. You see a lot of post-game pictures and videos of him hugging it out with the other team's star players, giving them hugs. He was the coach USA team. He's already given that up. Steve Kerr's going to be the guy now, which we all knew that going into the Olympics. That's why it was so important for Pop to finally, touch gold as the head coach of Team USA. So he's done a lot for the team, but this version of the Spurs, not going to be too much more competitive than they currently are right now. I pegged them right around where their season total was at. Their season total is like right around 28. I think that's where they'll finish. They're going to do just enough to get Pop his record, and then he's going to sail off to the sunset. And that's not what he's playing for, because Pop's not a records guy. But they're going to get it done for him, and they're not going to be it.
So you're saying he ain't going to stick around and let these boys tarnish his record?
Nah. He's got a good. The other thing about Pop is he's got a good win percentage. That's what
Exactly.
he's got a great win percentage.
And the next 2-3 years, that shit's in the air. You know what I mean?
So maybe he's thinking about the numbers a little bit.
It's like that fighter that sticks around too long. Just get out the game, cuz.
Exactly. Gotta know when to get out. But that was the West. Let's get on to the East.
Before we leave the West, I just want to let everybody know that we in the 6th seed and you ass bums are down there at 11 and 12.
Hey, we know that. We know that. That's fine.
Peace.
We don't have LeBron James on our team.
I do like LeBron and the Lakers. I might be rooting for you guys come playoff time. So we'll see what's up.
All right. Badass.
Let's go. The West, we talked about a lot of familiar names. The East, they still got a lot of familiar names on their side. But I will say there's a lot of new blood in the East. New beasts, I will say, is the title here. There's some little scary font. New beasts in the East. We got Evan Mobley there of the Cavs dunking on LeBron James in their game earlier this season. We look at the East, the Nets, as we talked about earlier, are 19-8. They're in the 1 seed. And the guy pictured up here on the top left, Evan Mobley, and I'll leave it to Ben here to take us through. The Cavs are 17-12 as of this picture, and they're in the 4 seed. We talked about them earlier in the season, and you liked them.
Yeah.
You still like them right now?
I was going to say, let's all grab one team from the East that we want to talk about and give me the Cavs, bro. Yeah, they're actually playing my Rockets tonight, up 20 points after the first quarter. No Evan Mobley tonight. But, bro, this is a team that a lot of people had. You know when Dan Gilbert wrote that letter to LeBron, like, we'll win a championship before you do. Obviously, he already put that shit to rest. And I'm not even saying the Cavs are championship contenders necessarily, but I think this rebuild is on fast forward, bro. I think that they made some good moves. I think them changing their style and playing 3 7-footers, one that can stretch the floor, and Lauri Markkanen, who they got from the Bulls. I like it. I like it a lot. Coached by JB Bickerstaff, another coach who's been around the league for a long time. He's a player's coach. I really like them. They got Ricky Rubio coming in off the bench. They got Kevin Love coming in off the bench. I mean, that's what you want. You want those veteran guys in the locker room to hold the young guys down like Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Mobley, Okoro, and Yeti Osman. They have a team. They're built the right way. They like playing together. And I encourage y'all to maybe catch one of their games. If y'all got League Pass, check out a Cavs game. It's Cavs first half. And put a little something on it because that shit's automatic. The Cavs are 25-5-2 ATS, bro. I mean, that's wild. That's against the spread. No, first half probably better. That's full game. And yes, there are underdogs for most of their games, obviously coming into the season. But now with the 17-12 record, the Rockets were another team that I said were beast ATS. Today, the Cavs were laying 9.5 points to the Rockets. Who would have ever thought the Cavs would be laying 10, bro, to any team in the NBA, 2 years after LeBron James leaves? So, yeah, I encourage y'all to check out the Cavs, man. It's refreshing. We were talking about all these three-point shots. The Cavs don't really play that style. Like I said, they play big men. They play for the advantage and to take advantage of that fucking advantage. So, yeah, the Cavs are for real. The Cavs will finish in the top 5 in the playoffs. That's my take.
Yes.
They'll finish above either the Heat or the 76ers. One of those two teams is going to be below the Cavs.
I like the Cavs. I like the way they're constructed. We talked about them a little bit earlier, I think in an earlier pod. Everybody's going small nowadays. They decided to go big. And I like their squad. They got a lot of guys there, Ben. I think you might be onto something with the Cavs. I think they are gonna be sticking around.
They're a dark horse.
Yeah, I don't know they're necessarily title contenders, but they are gonna get some teams fits. I mean, it's crazy just to think about them being
That's
a
playoff,
4 seed.
Playoff team,
right now the playoffs
Yeah.
ended today. They would be hosting a playoff series if the
They
playoffs
will be
ended
hosting
today.
when the playoffs end. Roman.
I mean, last season it took them.
Reach.
I mean, they're already at 17 wins. I think I was reading something last season. It took them like 50 games to get to 17 or something like that.
You're good.
We got to talk about, Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's been a great pick for them. I liked him a lot coming out of college, out of USC. Just a guy that has a complete game. He's really affected them since he's come into the fold. So I like the Cavs.
The shot blocking with Evan Mobley is what I underestimated because the Rockets did have a chance of grabbing him. And, man, next to Christian Wood, he would have been a beast. Bro, I was wrong as hell. And I hate admitting when I'm wrong. But I was wrong as hell.
True.
I was wrong as hell with Evan Mobley. No, he's a runaway rookie of the year this year, bro. Runaway.
Looks good. My team that I'm looking at here at the standings, it's a little disappointing for me because I became a fan of theirs a little bit last year because I like Trae Young a lot. It's the Atlanta Hawks. I did not expect them to be there at the 11th seed at 12 and 14. They're a team that I expected to actually be where the Cavs are in the 4 seed, 5 seed range this year, kind of where they ended up last year at the end of the year. And the story for the Hawks here, for me, is they just don't know how to close games. They're horrible in the fourth quarter. They blew a 20-point lead almost to the Rockets the other night in the fourth quarter. They're ranked in terms of like their plus minus in the fourth quarter in the NBA. They're ranked 26th, so that's near the bottom of the league. They're just not executing in the fourth. It's a little scary. It's a little concerning for me. I think they're going to turn it around just because I think they have a lot of talent. I think they have more talent than teams like the Hornets, than the Wizards that are up there. I think they'll kind of ascend. I think they're better than the Raptors and the Celtics too.
They just signed Collins too, right? Supposedly it made him
gave-
feel more comfortable. Like they actually wanted him there for long term.
They gave Collins a lot of money, but that's the team that's probably the most surprising to me. And I guess my take on them is that they will turn it around. And I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know if they'll host a playoff series this year, but I think they'll finish as high as a 6th seed. I think they'll climb that high from where they're at. They can.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at the positions, I mean, the 1st seed is at 19 and Atlanta's at 13 wins. So 6 games separates the 1st seed all the way to the 11th seed. If one team gets hot, wins 4 or 5 in a row, I mean, they're right there, again, at the 5 seed, at the 4th seed. So the thing about the East is that it's not very, separated. We had, in the West, we had San Antonio and Houston down there with 7 wins, 8 wins. I mean, here you have the Knicks and the Atlanta who's there with 12 and 13 wins. So not much separation in the East. So if you're, a fan of somebody that's, 8 through 12 seeds, I mean, you're not, far away. I don't really have much to say about the East,
what
man.
I want to ask you, though, if you don't have much to say about the East, is I was thinking about this to myself a couple of days ago. I was just looking at the standings when I was putting this together. Is the East has accumulated a lot of talent, I think, over the years. A couple of big players have gone over to the East, like KD and James Harden. They're both on the Nets. DeRozan recently back over to the East. He was formerly with the Raptors. They have Giannis. My question to you, Ron, is: do you think the West, which has been thought of as the much better conference over the years, is still the better conference between the two? And if you do you think it's closer at least than it was in years past?
Well, I mean, judging by the records that we just talked about, where the lower seeds are in the West compared to the lower seeds in the East, and this is something that gets brought up at the end of the year when you say should the playoffs be 8-8? Because there's always way more teams from one of the conferences going instead of the other guys, instead of just saying top 16 teams in the leagues make the playoffs. But to answer your question, man, I think the East might be a little tougher. There's a lot of injuries in the West, though. Everybody's pretty much healthy, down here, but in the East. But I mean, don't sleep on the East this year, man. There is a lot of talent there. Ever since LeBron left the East, I was like, it's all about the West now, and everybody was there. And then Bron went to the West, and everybody got scared and came back to the East. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, they went
But
back east.
but no, man, to answer your question, I mean, the East is tough. The Bulls, is a team that, everybody, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, the Bulls, that was the last time that they were great. And then, they tried to, the D Rose team was great, but then even after that, they fell off for a while. You got some Zach LaVine, Wade went back for a little bit, but the Bulls just were never the Bulls the way that Jordan was because they didn't have those big names. And even now, I mean, you don't have this superstar there, but you have a lot of stars and they're winning games. And just like Ben said, the buzz is getting created again. So there's somebody who I could see in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. I know Ben mentioned Cleveland, but, the Bulls playing so well together, it looks like they got the pieces together. I think I saw an article where they actually like hang out with each other and go to dinner after games and, go play video games with each other. Like they're legit homies. That squad is just meshing really, really well. If you have some injuries in Brooklyn and, Milwaukee, it's very hard, to go back to back. If you look at the top 4 or 5 teams there, Philly's in absolute turmoil. Miami's, they're good, but not great. Butler's, kind of, hit or miss sometimes. The Bulls have a legitimate chance, I think, to come out of the East this year. And I think it would be good for the NBA to get one of those older teams that had so much success in the past, like the Knicks or the Celtics or, those big names. The Lakers did it when LeBron came back and won. So it would be good for the Bulls and the NBA also. So a definite beast in the East, Chicago Bulls this year.
Ben, do you think the East is stronger than the West?
I do. I think that there's more parity in the East now. We've seen teams that are used to being in the playoffs, like the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors, as of late, take a step down, bro. What I was going to ask you all is, I don't want to get too much into this because I already, was talking about the Cavs. I want to throw a couple of teams at you and y'all just say yes or no to the playoffs. Where they're currently standing, how do you think that they end up? So the Cleveland Cavs, yes or no to the playoffs?
Yes.
I'll say yes. I think that's
okay. The Washington Wizards, yes or no to the playoffs?
I'll say no. I think they'll fade.
I'm gonna say no because of the teams that are under them still have a legitimate shot to just catapult.
I agree with you. I don't think that they make it at all either. Mm-hmm. The Boston Celtics.
No.
I'm gonna say yes because Jason Tatum's, just like you were gonna say, is gonna put them on their back, and then they're getting their other. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but their other guard that's hurt,
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown. He's gonna come back also, so they'll turn up.
Okay, the New York Knicks.
Probably. Man.
They were hosting last year, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm tripping about. Bro.
That Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier signings. Kemba Walker's out of the rotation.
Yeah, they whiffed on Kemba.
No, and Fournier.
The
Knicks are not making it this year.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no because of the Charlotte Hornets. That's why I think the Charlotte.
I was gonna ask you all about that. I'm not gonna waste time with the Raptors. Yeah. I think that the Raptors are fringe, but the Hornets. We're all LaMelo Ball fans. Do we think that the Hornets get into the playoffs? We know that they missed it last year. Do we think that they get in this year?
I think so. They've got an improvement out of a couple of other players on their team. We talked about Miles Bridges the last time out. He continues to play well for them this year. So I like the Hornets to make the playoffs.
They have Terry Rozier, right?
Yeah, Rozier.
Yeah. So again, solid guys. So I'm gonna say yes on the Hornets as well.
And we all expect the Hawks to make the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes. And the Hawks get back into it. They just got to get things
right.
And
I just don't think that there's enough room. Like The only team that we kicked out of the playoffs was the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, and I kicked the Celtics out.
You did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Well, but the Celtics are in the 9th spot. They're technically not in.
Oh, true. Yeah,
it's top 8.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there might be some new blood. I really think the Cavs hang around, bro.
And I agree.
Think the Cavs hang around.
I agree with Ron with the
I definitely wouldn't mind seeing
asterisk. Not so much an asterisk, but just with the disclaimer that if Kyrie doesn't come back, if Kyrie does not come back, I think the Bulls can take the Nets in a series. I really do think they can. They have a good starting 5. They have some guys that can come off the bench, like Ben brought up the last time I missed or failed to mention Alex Caruso. He's been a big piece for them off the bench, and he stepped up some big minutes. So I like the Bulls. I like the way they're constructed. They got a lot of guys that know how to play the game, and a lot of high IQ guys on that team. And they got enough playmaking on the team between Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, I think, to get the job done.
Who's coaching them? Is it Billy Donovan?
Yeah, Billy Donovan, I think, is the coach over there.
And they got a decent coach, man. He's gotten a bad rap, but a pretty decent coach.
Yeah.
Gotten playoff teams year after year. So,
so
the East is definitely more intriguing to me this year.
Yeah, and do you think Kevin Durant? I already asked the question, so never mind. But yeah, the East is super intriguing. So, all right, let's get on to one more theme.
Finish this off.
Yeah, let's finish this off. Just got to talk about it because it's news. This will be really quick. COVID. There's been a couple of cancellations, just really concerning the Chicago Bulls, who we just talked about. They got 1, 2, 3, 6. They got 10 players on the COVID list, causing them to cancel their next 2 games. They don't play again until like Saturday. They don't have rescheduled dates for those games yet. We've seen more players go out with COVID. I think James Harden, is out on the COVID list. The Nets just got hit hard. They only have 8
not
players.
On COVID because he's on the sideline.
Oh, okay.
It's LaMarcus Aldridge.
They only have 8 players available tonight.
Yep.
Still shorthanded. Do you think this is going to be a problem throughout the rest of the year? We've seen this already affecting the NFL. We'll talk about that more tomorrow on Thursday. But what do you guys think about this? Are you concerned, Ben?
I'm concerned. I'm not Dr. Fauci or Dr. Saucy either. But there's a new strand that they're talking about out of these streets. It seems like that's what's getting everybody. Not that it's the most dangerous, but people are testing positive.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, bro. Like every night, and now it's going to the NFL. There's been a lot of chatter about maybe sports just pausing for 2 weeks. Sports in general. We ain't going back to Madden simulations and ping pong, bro. I'm telling you that. We ain't doing that shit.
We'll be out of business. We can't have we talking about sports with no fucking sports.
We might become a soccer podcast.
I mean,
a Japanese baseball podcast.
I mean, again, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, but as long as I make that decision like this week, so we can postpone, fantasy playoffs, because I got some guys dealing with some COVID on my team right now.
Everybody does, man. This is crazy. Like we said, like you mentioned, this is the first team to have games postponed due to COVID. They've made some teams just play with players from the G League. LaMelo Ball's been out for almost 2 weeks with COVID. That's why he's been missing. So I think it's going to be a problem that's going to continue throughout the league. And the crazy thing is, when you're watching an NBA game, every other commercial is about the vaccine, fam. Every other commercial. And like live footage of DeMar DeRozan, getting the needle stuck in, and like all these players,
the PSAs.
Yeah, it's they're overdosing us with that shit right now. It's not the best on the eyes right now, to be honest.
Yeah, it's crazy to see the games are getting canceled. I don't know what their policy is going to be. I know the NFL is if you can't field the team, it's a forfeit on your end. If the other team can. The NBA, they're postponing these games. I assume they don't want to cancel. They're going to want everybody to have the same amount of games or same percentage or whatever. But Ron, do you have anything to add on this?
No, I mean,
stuff? Are you worried about it?
I am a little worried, and I'm worried about it for the sports, but I'm going to go PSA right here and just say I'm worried about it for just, the general, human concern of it. We thought we were way past this already. We've seen a lot of, everything kind of go back to normal already. We had was that college game? Was it the Michigan game where there was like 90,000 kids on the field at the same time? I mean, no restrictions. Everything was going back to normal. And this is kind of how COVID started. 2 years ago or whenever it was NBA. The game stopped in the middle of the game. And they made the announcement, and after that, sports started getting canceled, and then it was just the media ran with it, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. Not just for sports, but again, for the general public. Man, I would hate to see numbers spike. It's sad if all this stuff starts again. The world is going to be a crazy place. Toilet paper and bread are going to be off the shelves, right away. So hopefully this doesn't happen. Hopefully, we can get it a little bit more controlled and people start taking more precautions and correlating it with sports. James Harden, Aaron Rodgers, guys who have been firm believers of not taking the vaccine. Maybe this might be a wake-up call for them, to say, hey, man, dudes that I'm sharing locker rooms with are getting sick. And maybe they might not be, super sick, going to the hospital, passing away, but it's a reminder every day that this shit is real. So that's kind of my COVID, take.
No, thank you for that. No, I appreciate it. I mean, it's definitely real. Definitely something that needs to be taken serious, and something that is happening, right now, and something we got to talk about because. I know, like Ron said, it goes further and it goes beyond sports, but it's affecting what's going on with the stuff that we talk about on a daily basis. So I think that's it for the starting five. That's it for the the NBA pull up.
That was dope, man. Our very first ever NBA pull up, and whoever sees this, y'all are the first ones
NBA pull up. A little over an hour, doing good on time. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the NBA, and we don't do it all the time, so really hard to keep it short here. But I think we did good with the time today. So if you guys have anything that you want to talk about that we missed, hit us up in the comments like you guys always do. And by the time you get this, hopefully you'll be listening in the morning. We got the Thursday night sit down. We're gonna go live for the what game is it? I'm blanking out. It's a decent matchup.
Chiefs and Chargers. Tomorrow night we're getting lit on the pod, man.
AFC West showdown. We'll recap what happened on Sunday. I went 3-0 on my picks. That's no big deal. So
fucking lost by the hook.
I went 0-3.
You went 0-3. I went 2-1, pending the damn.
We'll talk about the.
We'll talk about more. We'll
have our own bad beat segment tomorrow, Ron. Don't you worry.
Ben, Ron, do you guys have anything before we sign off for the night?
No, just to piggyback off what you said, if y'all are fans of a team that we didn't talk about and you just want an outsider's perspective on what we think of the team, I'm telling you, we're watching this shit. Like every night, pretty much NBA.
Joby was asking for his flowers on the comments. I don't know.
Yeah, he's talking about CP3 not winning the title last year. That's got to be what he's talking about. He can't be talking about flowers on the Spurs. He had very high expectations.
And Jobs is the type where he'll pull up his phone and give you a receipt, dog. For his comments.
Hey, he's got that one folder,
receipts.
Yeah. Well, his wish CP3 didn't win. So
no, man. All I gotta say, all I gotta say is today's Wednesday. Hopefully, we get this out soon. But whenever you hear it. December 16th, we will have our show for Thursday Night Football. We've been killing it on the bets, man. We went stupid last Thursday with the Steelers game. We hit everything under the sun. So we're going to do a recap of that and just stay tuned for, our future shows. We'll bring more content. We're going to be doing little promo videos too, just to kind of let you know what's going on. So if you want to watch one day, you can make sure and tune in. And as always, our mailboxes are open. DM us, hit us up. Any suggestions, any comments, y'all want us to talk more about certain something, let us know. If y'all want us to shut the hell up about a certain something, let us know. So Twitter, Facebook, where else?
Instagram,
Twitter, Facebook, IG, or just DM us if you have our cell phone numbers. Text us. Who cares, dog? We're talking about sports. We got a lot of shit coming up, and
tomorrow,
we're excited to share it with you.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about the fantasy league because it's the last week before playoffs. So there's a couple of scenarios for the podcast league that we'll talk about tomorrow.
There we go. Yep. Alrighty, guys. Well, that was the NBA pull-up. We're gonna be doing more of these. Catch y'all on Thursday.
Peace.